Hi y'all, this is House Guest and I am your host, Kenzie Elizabeth. Think a Gen Z wannabe Martha Stewart meets Dolly Parton trying to live in a Nancy Meyers movie in her 20s. We talk all about life, relationships, navigating your 20s, closing out the bars, or waking up at 5 a.m. depending on our vibe that week. Ultimately, living our best lives and figuring it out along the way. So come hang out. Sometimes I have guests on who do really cool things, some of my best friends, or it's just me and my house that I spend way too much time in. So let's get into the show. Hi y'all, welcome back. We are in my home recording a nice solo podcast episode. Listen, I know y'all love a solo podcast, but I just get so insecure about the episodes. One, because right now I don't have a lot of happy things to talk about. And also I get tired of myself. I have nothing to say. I'm not trying to, starting off a little negative. I'm not trying to be negative towards myself. Let me re-say this, okay? I just don't know what else I have left to say. All right, I am on every platform. I'm vlogging my life. I'm doing so much. So sometimes I'm just I can't do a solo all the time. But I do like the occasional little catch-up episode. I love, actually, you know what I do miss? When I was in college, I used to do episodes of things that I've been learning. We're actually incorporating that back into today's episode. This episode is going to go everywhere. We're doing current favorites, we're doing current favorites, podcast favorites, book talk, random topical news things, lessons I've been learning. Did I say that already? We're going all over the place, so we're kind of incorporating everything. Next week, actually, really excited for this episode as well. It's going to be another solo, and we're doing it all about home stuff. I'm in my homemaking era. It's not even an era, it's a lifestyle. All right, I am a homemaker. That is what I grew up the daughter of an interior designer, the daughter and a niece of interior designers, the granddaughter of a seamstress. I am just a home girl. That is who I am. And we're doing an entire home episode. Anyway, so there's things like that for sure. But sometimes I'm solo podcast episodes are hard because you're just talking to yourself. And at times it does make me want to co-host for the show, but I just feel when you have a co-host, I love how this show has been able to evolve with me throughout the years and throughout my life. And it feels to me when I'm talking to y'all right now, especially if you guys are watching on YouTube, watch on YouTube because we're in my really cute cozy room. And also we have a special guest. I lied. This is Fitz, my golden doodle. He's perfect. He's named after President Fitz. And he, as soon as I said his name, he wants a scratch. We're actually sitting on Fitz's dog bed. In his eyes. This is technically my couch and my entryway that I use for my podcast studio as well, and he has taken it as his dog bed. So anyways, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh yes, it feels like a FaceTime with y'all, and I really do love that, and I love connecting with you guys, and I want it to feel like you're listening to a friend, and I am your girl helping you, navigate your 20s and get through life, and then I bring on people that I'm interested in, and from learning from them, they're entertaining, I think they're fun, and it's I'm kind of bringing you guys, we're sitting in my living room, and I'm you're over, and I'm inviting a random friend. I always have friends that are in such different bubbles of life, and it's actually a quality I really like about myself, and I love to throw them in the mix and just see what happens, That's kind of this podcast. Anyways, long-winded way of me saying solo episodes are difficult, and I'm happy to do them, but sometimes I just don't know what to talk about. So anyways, we're doing a nice solo episode today because next week, House Guest is going Hollywood. We are back in Los Angeles. We are back at the Dear Media studio, and we are back recording. We are batching up a storm. I am recording so many podcast episodes for not just my show, but I'm going on a couple of other shows, and it's going to be a really good week. I have come to the conclusion, I think, that I feel I do prefer recording guest episodes in studio. All right, after all of this, I do think I like it better. I don't think it's just because of the guests that I can get in other cities. I think it's because I like having an actual studio set. I have this set up in my house, but my dream, I like how Therapist has his own studio and it's set up and it's so cute and so I love that vibe. And eventually when a friend of mine gets our own offices, I do want to build out an actual set and do things there. So maybe we'll get to that, But I do think I like a studio guest. So anyways, house guest is going Hollywood. We are in Los Angeles next week, and then next month we are in New York. So I'm going to be batching up a storm, meaning there's probably not going to be a lot of solo podcast episodes in the next couple of months. So here we are today, and if you guys want one so badly, if you're begging, I can slot one in. We'll see what I can do. But sometimes it's just like, normalize having nothing to say. All right, normalize it. And that's kind of where I'm at, you know? I say that, and then this will be a 45-minute episode of me just not being able to shut the fuck up. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm a hypocrite. I don't mean what I say. I think sometimes is really the reality. Anyways, I have my Google Doc, and I wanted to start off with a couple of things. Oh my God, guys, top of mind. I don't know if y'all saw, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are coming out with a new show on Netflix, and it's following the 2023-2024 season. Now listen, if Macy Thompson isn't in this Netflix documentary, I'm not watching it. I'm boycotting it. Boycott the DCC Netflix series. All right, listen. While technically speaking, Macy might have not legally been on the team, I think we can all agree that Macy Thompson is the star of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, all right? And I am willing to bet that a lot of them think that as well. I'm not even willing to bet. I know that for a fact because we've met them, okay? If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, little backstory, Macy, my best friend, if you really don't know, this must be her first episode you've ever listened to because she's been on the show so many times, and there's some of everyone's like favorite episodes. But anyways, she has, I don't even know how to describe it. She has a lot of bits on TikTok where they're basically just lies, but she really leans in, like full chest. She's telling you she's like the niece of Abby Lee Miller, and like if you guys are finding out right now that these are lies, like I feel like I'm telling you like Santa. I'm not even gonna say that in case someone's listening with their kid, but like, you know, whatever. All right. She has an entire bit on TikTok where she says she's a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. She also said she's Sydney Sweeney's stunt double. She's Abby Lee Miller's niece. She's been on probably American Idol. Simon Cowell mentored her. I mean, like, Macy has lived a lot of lives. Anyways, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders TikToks, they were getting, I think they probably collectively have like well over 40 million views. All right. Like, listen, I love the DCC. I respect them. They're a household name. All right, I'll give them that, okay? But, like, Macy Thompson and the DCC, like, Macy Thompson is a star of the DCC. Like, that's just how it is. And if they had this entire series on Netflix without Macy Thompson, like, I am boycotting. I have to. Like, what a missed opportunity. And, by the way, while we're here, all of last season, complete missed opportunity. I think the Cowboys are just a very well-oiled machine. I think they're the most lucrative NFL franchise, which is kind of crazy given the fact that we haven't been like really good in like a long time. But anyways, beside the fact, good branding. They should have leaned into Macy on TikTok way before, like missed opportunity. We did end up going to a Cowboys game, but that was through the Cowboys. That wasn't even through the DCC. And then they ended up jumping on. Like, guys, listen, like I am Robin, GBT Girl Boss Town, like stamp of approval making the noise, you know, like Macy needs to be, I don't know though, listen, she is in the transfer portal right now, she might be leaving, like we'll see, maybe her offers will be good enough, we'll see, but like they really, really should have leaned into it a lot more and like had her out at more games and like practices and things like that. And it was the last game of the season that we finally got to go. So anyways, I'm just saying from a marketing standpoint and from the powerhouse that Macy Thompson is, she should have been there and she should have been in the documentary. And if this comes out and if she's not in the documentary, which I know she's not, I'm going to be really upset because she's kind of like the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader star. And I feel like everyone thinks that and knows that in their hearts. Even the DCC girls think that. And I love them. Like, they're all great. They're all stars. Don't get me wrong. But, like, Macy, I'm such a stage mom, you know? Like, I'm really such a stage mom. I wanted to talk about the idea of you. We're moving into, like, a little bit of, like, a book talk thing. I was actually going through, like, any topical events that I wanted to, like, chat about. And they're all book related. So, like, this is, like, a little news corner, okay? First things first, the idea of you. I loved the movie. Hated the book. I didn't hate the book. I just didn't love it like everyone did. I felt like it was overhyped. It wasn't really my thing. I'm not obsessed with Hollywood tropes is what I've realized, besides like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Loved. But I thought the movie was actually really good, and that is coming from someone who really likes bad movies. So if the movie was bad, okay, whatever. I liked it. Here's my thought though. Do y'all think that Kristen Cavallari has watched that movie? And if not, she needs to watch that movie. Listen, I love Kristen, like, love. I don't care. But I really think that this is a movie, not just for the girlies, this is a movie for Kristen Cavallari. She needs to watch it. She needs to post a photo of her watching it, just not even addressing it on her Instagram story, and it's funny. Like, she needs to have the last laugh. Like, she needs to have the last laugh, and Kristen Cavallari should absolutely be watching The Idea of You. I texted, like, 4 friends just asking, like, do you think she watched it? Like, she had to have watched it, right? I feel like, I don't know. She has to. Anyways, personally, I really loved it. I love Anne Hathaway. I can't believe that everyone just decided to hate her. Why did that happen again? The same thing happened with Katherine Heidwig. Is that her name? This is so disrespectful. She's such a star and I love her. No offense to her or anyone that I get anything wrong. My brain fog is just so bad these days. The blonde from Grey's Anatomy, who also was in like Firefly Lane and all those things. Everyone just decided to hate her too. Like, why do we do that? We love someone so much. One day we just decide we hate them. And then also, more importantly, how did she become like loved again? Because everyone is obsessed with her. I don't know. I'm ignorant to this, but I kind of feel like she started having like really cool style. I just think like justice for Anne Hathaway. That was unfair. Also, the guy, love him. I think his name's Nicholas. I love that man. So that's a great movie. I actually really liked it. I'm not a huge movie goer. And to be fair, I didn't go anywhere. I went to my bedroom and I watched it. But I really liked it. So, you know. Okay, new Abby Jimenez book. One of my favorite authors. I have rated every single book of hers besides this one a 5-star, and this one was a 4.5. And I don't know if it's just because I'm not like in the place, but a 4.5 is still very high. I don't give 5 stars out. Like, no. This is just for the summer. It's amazing. Listen, I love a man who has to stay back and take care of his family. I love a man who hates everyone but you. I love a man that just loves you. You know what I mean? And that was this book. The girl, actually, they put a little spin on this one. This is new. The girl actually was the one with the problems. And like, that's kind of rare, you know, like that doesn't really happen much. And it was kind of relatable. It was understandable. I really liked the book. But I'm bringing that up to say there was a part of the book, and so many of y'all are reading it. We have the same taste, you and I. Like, we're all besties. So many of y'all were DMing me saying, like, did you read the new book? They talk about how they hate J names in it. And they're like, oh my God, Abby Jimenez, like, listens to house guests. No, guys, I hate to break it to you. That's a universal rule. We didn't invent that. We didn't create that. There was no ETA 330. And then J names sucked. Like, J names sucked way before that. Thank you for the false credibility and the unwavering, support of this podcast to think that this podcast would be influencing Abby's books. It didn't, but I like the thought. I read it. I thought the same thing. I thought J names, ETA 330, it's over. Speaking of, if you guys haven't listened to the episode, you have to listen to it. It's like one of my favorite episodes ever. Macy got like ghosted in the craziest way by this guy who was a J name, who said he was like on his way from like far away. He wasn't. Anyways, really good episode. Oh, I saw the other day that Verity is getting turned into a movie. Now listen, I think everyone has reasonable concerns after what we've been seeing for It Ends With Us. Now listen, like I said, I love a bad movie. So I feel like I might end up being It Ends With Us #1 fan. Like, I might actually be like, this is the movie of the year. If a movie is too good, I'm not connected to it. Like, it's like a piece of art. Like, I'm not trying to watch a piece of art. I'm trying to like watch something that like I would make. You know what I mean? Also, let's just give it some time. Maybe It Ends With Us is actually going to be really good. We'll see. The wardrobe, it could have used some help. And I think that is just, it's too late for that. The casting, it's not my favorite. It's not what I had envisioned. It's not what I pictured. But I'm going to trust them, and I'm going to see it out. Okay, Verity is becoming a movie. What to know? No release date has been announced as yet for Verity. Apparently the script is currently being written. What are y'all's thoughts? What's your theory on Verity? I really need to reread the book, and I even read the book and the like after thing she released, And I don't even remember. Like, I honestly don't remember my theory at all. But there's no cast list for Verity. There's literally absolutely nothing. But the fact that a script is being written is good because sometimes it is by the rights and then, like, it's just gone forever. So I feel good about that. I think that Verity could be very good if they have the right team on it. It's a very good book. It's also kind of crazy. Like, not that I put authors in a box, but honestly, I kind of do. Like, when I found out Rebecca Yarros wrote, like, Fourth Wing and what was the other? The Last Letter, you know, all of those other books, it was like the craziest revelation I've ever had in my life. Like, I truly could not get over the fact that she was writing all these romance novels and then writing like fantasy and like about, you know, dragons and stuff. And like, I understand that you can do that, but for some reason it just didn't feel right to me. And all of the books are so good. Besides Fourth Wing sequel, I never finished it. I DNF'd it, okay? Don't cancel me. I loved Fourth Wing. ACOTAR was okay. Like, and listen, I know I'm wrong for this. And again, I think I'm just reading it when I'm not in the fantasy mood. It's a big commitment, and I do love reading. I'm more of like a romance thriller sort of girl. I loved Fourth Wing, but the second book, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I ended up giving it up because it was making me hate reading. Okay, last thing, you know, It Ends With Us. We already kind of talked about that. I'm holding space for It Ends With Us movie. And I'm gonna give it some time. And I'm gonna see what happens there. Current favorites. All right, we need to talk about this perfume. I actually do think that they are coming on as a podcast sponsor. That's not confirmed, but I was using this perfume way before they were a podcast sponsor. I didn't even know. I got it sent in the mail and they were not signed on to the show. Nothing. Okay. Not that that would really affect things I like on my sponsors anyways, but we do need to talk about it. Dossier. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. The Chambray. I don't know. It's the Baccarat dupe. You can see on the website that it's the Baccarat dupe. It smells so unbelievably incredible. It is $50, around $50. And the Baccarat scent is like $600 or something crazy. I personally am not spending $600 on a perfume literally ever. Like, not even for my wedding day. I don't care. Baccarat smells amazing. It does. But this stuff smells the exact same everywhere I go. Guys, I'm not kidding. Everywhere I go when I'm wearing this perfume, I get compliments on it. And I'm like, oh my God, thanks for asking. And then I just go into my whole spiel. And it lasts so long. I've never had a perfume last this long in my entire life. I got the travel size for my purses. I need to buy more, so every single bag that I own has this travel size in it. I am so emotionally attached to this. As like an actual like material item product, I don't think I've owned a product that has brought like this much joy into my life in so long, which sounds stupid, but like since really like they evoke emotion. You know what I mean? It just like puts me in a good mood, honestly. I love this stuff. And I know like their entire site, basically they just like knock off, from what I've gathered, they knock off high-end perfume scents. And I'm just here to tell you, this Baccarat one is incredible and it lasts all day. So that is number one on my currently loving list because I am in love. Kosas lip products, all of them. All right, I love Kosas. They have some of the best products, but their lip products specifically, I'm wearing the lip liner now, a lip gloss. I like anything that they come out with for your lips. I got a huge PR package and I've just been throwing it into all these different things. I love a lip liner and the Kosas lip liners. I use a bunch of different colors. I'm not really loyal to any color, but I like the actual formula. Like, I find that they're very hydrating and I've never really had a lip liner that's hydrating. I love this stuff. It's so good. My New Balance 9060s, is that how you say that? I have literally no idea. They were out of stock everywhere. I actually ended up finding them on American Eagle. They're linked on my Like to Know It. I wear them literally every single day. Like, I wear them pretty much all the time. They are so cute. They're so sporty. They're fun. They're stylish. They're very chic. I love them, and they have been my best shoe purchase, like, by far. I wear those, or I wear cowboy boots, or sometimes I wear ballet flats, and, like, that is pretty much it. Or a little kitten heel, a little cute kitten heel. I wear the same Sam Edelman kitten heels. I have them in 6 different colors. They're the best shoes ever for kitten heels, but I love that sneaker. If y'all are looking for a good sneaker day-to-day, the New Balance 9060s, I'm in love. Everyday pajamas. I've been living in pajamas as always. Like I love to be home by 5 p.m. and immediately makeup's off and I'm in my pajama set. And listen, I work from home, so I'm already home most of the time. But like if I leave my house and I'm not back by 5, I'm like, whoa. What's going on here? Like even if I'm working, like I don't care. I just need to be at home. Anyways, I live in matching pajama sets. I love Skims, but the everyday ones, they're a little bit more expensive and they're just that much softer. I feel like the more I wash them, the softer they get. I have a white set. It feels so luxe. And there's nothing better than getting in my bed. I have the softest sheets. I have the best mattress topper. And then I have the best cooling weighted blanket. I'll talk about all of this in next week's episode. The cooling weighted blanket is from Luna though, by the way. I love it. I get into that and I'm in my matching pajama set. I'm in my matching pajama set, freshly showered, skincare on. I get in bed, my fan's on, my house is at 68 degrees. Picture the vibe with me, okay? It is the best feeling in the entire world, and I've been living in my everyday pajamas. They're also a great gift. It's too late. I probably at this point for Mother's Day, I think Mother's Day has passed, but they are an amazing gift. Maybe you forgot a gift and you need to send one, everyday pajamas. Also, dried hydrangeas. We're going to talk about this again more in next week's episode, but I have gone crazy in my home. Like, I have gone, I don't even know. I mean, I have really leaned into, grandma-ifying it, Nancy Meyers, whatever you want to call it, very traditional. And I have purchased so many dried hydrangeas, and I'm such a fresh flowers girl. I love to have a fresh floral arrangement from Trader Joe's. I do it all the time. I used to do it weekly, but I don't go to Trader Joe's like as much as I used to. But anyways, I always do it for like dinner parties. I used to do it just like week to week. I love it. But honestly, the look of these dried hydrangeas, I love them. Like I think that they're so cute. I am in love, obsessed. They're on my Amazon. And that is another thing. It just brings me joy. It makes your house feel very lived in and cozy and just happy. And it's something, again, that like is bringing me any sort of happiness this year. And that's what I'm doing. So I like the dried hydrangeas. I never thought I'd be a fake plants, flowers sort of girl, but I am. I wanted to share some podcasts that I've been loving. I am such a podcast girl. I prefer to watch them. There's some that I exclusively listen to, and then there's some podcasts that I only watch, right? I love them. So I'm just going to share a couple that I love. What I watch, Therapists, I love. New Heights, my number one show. I love the Kelsey brothers. Like, I started watching during the Kelsey Bowl, and I've just been hooked ever since. It's like my number one, like, comfort podcast. My dad loves it because I know so much more about football again. Like, I grew up with a father who, we didn't do normal flashcards. It wasn't like alphabet, like A, B, C, or like, numbers or whatever. No. It was like Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys. So like my dad is a sports fanatic, and now I will just randomly send him stuff and be like, I feel like Travis Kelce's contract is like really not that high, okay? I was looking into it, and it's like certain people that I know, I actually know someone, or like certain people that I know have like $100 million NFL contracts, and like Travis Kelce doesn't. Like, explain that to me. Like, do tight ends just, like, not get paid that much? I don't know. I mean, listen, it's still a lot of money. All right, I'm not saying it's not a lot of money. But in the grand scheme of things, when they act like he's so important, I don't know. Impulsive. One thing about me is you'll be shocked by the content that I consume. I love Impulsive. I love Theo Vaughn. And then what else do I watch? That's actually most of what I watch, I guess. Oh, I love Canceled. That's most of what I watch. And then listening, recently I've been loving Dream Bigger with Sif. I love her. She's been on the show. We're recording another swap very soon. I've been on her show. It's a really good podcast if you like more of like entrepreneurship, self-development kind of stuff. I love that. The Skinny Confidential, obviously, world's first podcast. I love. They completely shit on influencers and like hate vloggers, and like Sarah will go on and on about how like people who like vlog themselves are like narcissists and blah 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 and whatever. And you know what? I love the podcast so much. I just like look the other way. I just ignore it in one ear, out the other. Maybe it's like a generational thing, if you will. Some harsh opinions sometimes, but I do not agree with a lot of the opinions, but I do, well, in that, obviously that realm. The other ones, whatever. I love Sarah and Aaron. I think Aaron is like the funniest person ever, and I think their dynamic is great. They're sisters. They obviously own Favorite Daughter. They do so many things. I think that they are really great. They also give great life advice. they are in their 40s and they're always talking about things in their 20s and their 30s that they would have changed. And I just like listening to people who are older than me and know more. So love them. Fitz, if you guys are watching on YouTube, I don't know what he's doing. He has his butt on the couch and his front on the ground. All right. And then I love Oversubscribed, which is their podcast they just started. Oversubscribed is, they have oversubscribed ventures, so they're like investors, and then they bring on different brands that they're investing in, different entrepreneurs. It's actually really, for me, it's very interesting, and I love that kind of stuff, so I love them. Dear Chelsea, I love Chelsea Handler is like my comfort person for whatever reason. She reminds me so much of my aunt, so I love listening to her podcast. How I Built This, obviously. I'm all in with Scott Patterson. Listen, I want Scott Patterson on this show so bad, all right? He is the perfect dream guest. He's Luke from Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls, I love. You guys just heard Dom and I talk about them for probably half the episode. I love that show. So many of y'all love that show. I have a genius idea for the podcast that I can't share because it would be a surprise and that would literally defeat the purpose and ruin it. But I need everyone to start DMing them and spamming them and like explain to them that this is a great show for them to come on, okay? We've talked about it. It's not a no by any means. We just need, whatever. But I need you guys to like really help me and work on getting this to happen because I have some like really genius ideas and I need him on the show. And then kind of in the same realm, I love Smartless and I love Armchair Expert. I just listen to both of those weekly. I hate when they have the same guest on because sometimes people will be doing like rounds. I'm sure you guys feel that way when I have someone on and they're on everyone's podcast. But I hate it because it feels like I'm getting the same episode sometimes twice, but that very rarely happens. I love a long form interview format podcast that feels like a conversation, which is what I obviously want this episode or this podcast to be. I love a 2-hour long podcast too. I feel like I just get more connected with the host and with the show, and I love both of them. I've listened to Armchair Expert. I remember listening to them when I was in college for years and years, and then I started Smartless this year. I've heard about Smartless obviously forever, but I love those shows. They're so good. I just love them. So anyways, those are my favorite podcasts. My coffee is the size of my head. Like this is jail. This is not okay. Something I did really want us to talk about, little friend of mine updates. So I'm in my businesswoman era. All right. This brand is my dream come true. If y'all don't know, I'm the founder of Friend of Mine, which is a homemaking brand. Everything is centered around the home, essentially. I love it. It is amazing. We launched in September. I cannot believe the sales and the growth that we've had already. Like, it's actually a dream. And I genuinely just like cannot believe it, but it's so aligned with me, so it makes a lot of sense. I had a brand before with a partner, and it was such a great learning lesson. Like, I'm glad we did it. I learned so much. I just needed to be doing something that like made sense for me, especially when I'd already built a career for the past 10 years. I didn't want to like obviously I'm starting from the ground up. Like, I'm so new to all of this, and I feel like I look back now, and this is like nothing at all to like the partner, like literally there's no issues at all, but I personally have a like people pleasing problem when it comes to business, and I feel like a lot of it was people pleasing, and I wasn't listening to my instincts. I wasn't listening to like what I really wanted to be doing, and I was just like trying to people please for no reason. That ended up holding me back so much. And if I would have just done Friend of Mine at that point, like I really probably should have and wanted to, who knows where I would be. But also, with that being said, I think I needed to learn the lessons and do all that, and I've learned a lot through doing the original brand and then starting my own. And Friend of Mine has just been amazing. We just did a little refresh shoot, guys. Okay, so I found this amazing house, by the way. I just found it as like a rental for a shoot. The house is my dream home. It is literally Nancy Meyers on crack. It is better than Nancy Meyers. It is stunning, all right? And it's in my hometown too, which is like kind of crazy. But it is like my dream home. All right, I found the house. And then I'm like, what else could I possibly need? A rooster, obviously. Little backstory on me. I'm a very nostalgic person, okay? I grew up with roosters everywhere in my home. And I don't mean like actual roosters. I mean like on our wallpaper, on our fabrics, on our pillows, we had rooster statues, everything. And I am a very nostalgic girl. So when I was thinking of like the brand mark, the logo, the kind of animal that I wanted associated with friend of mine, obviously, like I love a horse, I love a bear. Like a bear has very sentimental value to my family, so I could have gone that route, but obviously bears and horses are really everywhere, and a rooster, really to me, a rooster means the kitchen. A rooster means home. So I was like, the rooster it is. We already had the roosters in our recipe journals, and I just love the vibe. I love the look. It's very nostalgic, and I know a lot of y'all also had the rooster. This is like early 2000s when like everyone had a rooster in their kitchen. I actually just got a rooster out in my little courtyard area. Like I'm really, leaning in. But I just throughout the years have always bought things with roosters on them because they're very nostalgic to me. And since this brand is really like a generational home brand, I was like, this is perfect, right? So naturally, being the all or nothing sort of gal that I am, I had to actually get a rooster. So I had a rooster. My assistant had a rooster. Come to our shoot. You can do this. You have to hire a handler. If you guys ever need a rooster in the Dallas area, you know who to ask. Me. It was kind of crazy. So we're outside and I'm like, oh, and then I realized, oh my God, guys, okay, this is bad. So I hired a PR team for a friend of mine. We were on the phone when I was on Nantucket and I'm like, all right, I really want a little bit of like a refresh for our assets because I really want the brand to feel like this specific way. And I feel like I need to get updated photos for that, right? So they were like, okay, great, but we're like sending out stuff for stories very soon. So like, can you get us those photos? So I had quite literally 3 hours to plan that shoot because I was on Nantucket and then I needed to do it like the next day. We have a little guest because Coconut, my other dog, decided to not stop barking. Okay, so I planned the entire shoot. I had this whole vibe very quickly. I get everything scheduled. I know I don't have the time, whatever. We get to the house and I realize, oh my God, I never asked these people if it's okay if I can have a rooster because everything was just happening so quickly. I mean, we were shooting it outside. It wasn't going to make any difference on like their actual property or whatever. But I was like, oh my God, we have to like go ask this guy if we can, have a rooster. Thankfully, he didn't care. He thought it was funny. So it's all good. So I'm very grateful they didn't care. But yes, I did have a photo shoot with the rooster. And I did get glam for a photo shoot with the rooster. That is true. But the humidity was so bad that my hair fell immediately. Like my hair doesn't really fall with humidity, but like I swear to God, I could feel water in the air. So I had what was going to be the best hair day of my life. I had like Matilda Jerf hair and I was so excited. And then it was just gone. By the way, if y'all are in Dallas, Anna Sullivan for hair, Kristen Farah for makeup, always. It's the only people to use. Only people to use point blank period anywhere, but they live in Dallas. So anyways, love them. But I love where we're going. We have Needlepoint just launched and then we have a new product launching next month and then a bunch of other things, cool collabs, I'm just really excited. And I know y'all listen to these episodes more for like life and lifestyle and fun, entertainment, navigating your 20s and whatever. But if you ever want more like entrepreneurial episodes ever, let me know. Because I love listening to that stuff. But I get it if the podcast is just like for the girlies, like let me know. Actually, the girlies can be entrepreneurs too, but like I meant more like laid back, okay? But yeah, I'm in my business era is basically what I'm getting at. And all of that to say, if you know that you know in your gut that you need to make a change, but you're really just so terrified of it for whatever reason, because you feel like you're going to disappoint someone, because you are people pleasing, you're scared of the future, you're scared of taking the risk, you don't know if it's going to work out, just do it. Like, you never know, and it could end up being so much better than you could have ever imagined. I couldn't have wished for like the success that we've had just in the past 6 months of launching. And it was the best thing I ever did, but I was so scared. I knew in my gut for a long time that this is what I need to do. And I kept just trying to make the other thing work, which was just holding me back. And there was literally no point in doing that. So I'm just saying, listen to yourself and go for it. You never know what's going to happen. And it could be so much better than you could ever possibly dream of. And that is how I feel. And I'm very grateful. And I think changing your mind, ending something, starting something new, it can be very scary and it takes a lot of courage and, bravery. Like it really is a hard thing to do. And I'm just really glad that I did it. So anyways, if that resonates with anyone, I would go for it, honestly. I wanted to share some life lessons that I've been having more in my mid to late 20s. I'm 26. Does that count as mid to late? I feel like 27 is mid to late, if we're being careful here. I don't know. I'm like honestly like really ready to be 30. Like I'm really excited for my 30s. So I'm not one of those people who's like, oh my God, I'm getting so old. I want to like sob. I might be that way when I turn like 27, 28. We'll see. But I don't know. I've just been thinking about the lessons that I learned in my earlier 20s, and they've been documented on this podcast. And then what I'm learning now, the first one being, you cannot be everything for everyone. And that is something I tell myself all the time. I really value being a good friend. The thing that I like about myself the most is probably my ability to be a good friend and to be there for people and to show up for people. Now, in your 20s, you typically have a lot of friends. I don't shut up, and I'm a people person, and I really, really do love people. So when I meet people, I'm very open. Normally, like I have a lot of people. I have a lot of friends. I'm very lucky to have a lot of friends, and I have a lot of friends in like a lot of different places. But I think the issue as I've gotten older has become, though, because there's so many of them, like I can't do that for everyone, and I can't like. I think just sometimes when you're a more outgoing person, sometimes like I don't know how to say this. It's like I think sometimes sometimes you just like don't have the capacity. I, for one, at this point in my life, in the deep, deep, deep grief that I'm in, I do not have the capacity to show up in the way that I maybe once could. And I'm barely surviving day to day as is. Like going through grief and like the loss of a sibling and loss of like a best friend, like someone who's been there for, I don't remember a life without my brother. I've never really had a life without my brother. Like I was 5 when he was born, but I don't remember my life really like prior to that. And then you think you're going to have them for the rest of your life. Like you just don't even understand. I can't even describe to you like how painful this is, like whatever you imagine it to be times that by a million. And then I'm so exhausted all the time. Like I cannot really do anything, and I'm trying so hard to show up for like the people in my life that like I want to show up for and want to be there for, but you just can't even, I can't describe it. Like everything is so exhausting because everything in me is just trying to survive. All of my energy is just going to survival right now. So with that being said, a lesson that I was already learning is like you cannot be everything for everyone. And that is something that even before losing my brother, I was trying to tell myself, because it's like I can't. You simply cannot be everything for everyone. And at a certain point, I feel like that's often why they say as you get older, your friends kind of like dwindle out and you get left with a lot fewer friends in your later 20s and your earlier 20s. And I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, and I just can't be everything for everyone. Like and whether that's in like a work capacity, an emotional capacity, a friendship capacity, you just simply cannot. As the girl who for so long was trying to be everything for everyone, I had already realized prior to losing my brother that I couldn't do that anymore. Like I needed to be a little bit more cutthroat almost with friendships. Like there were definitely things in my life that I feel like were lingering that just didn't need to linger, or relationships that I would like randomly invest in, and I'm like, but why am I doing that? Like I see some things in this friendship that I don't love, or I don't love how I act there. I don't love how I feel there. I just don't think it is worth the time when I already have like really amazing friends that I love and adore, and I need to be investing into like those relationships. You just cannot be everything for everyone. And at a certain point, you do have to be kind of cutthroat about like who is in your life. And because I am so social, like I want to be that for everyone. I want to be everyone's friend, but at a certain point you cannot do that. And I think that's also like maturing and wisdom and comes with age. And yeah, that's just my number one lesson that I feel like I have learned outside of grief and like what I've been going through this year is you cannot be everything for everyone. I literally tell myself this like daily. Like I just cannot. And when, especially right now, I'm trying to just simply survive, like I just cannot be everything for everyone. I really cannot do that. With that being said, the next thing is it is not your job to make others understand you. I have actually said this since my early 20s. This is something that I used to always remind myself of, and I feel like I kind of forgot it. And this can apply for anyone. Like, it's really easy when you have, like, obviously a job on the internet and you're in front of a lot of people and they're, you know, sharing their opinions on you and your life and your relationships and your personality and your looks and your blah, 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 blah. I just have to remind myself, like, it is not my job to make other people understand me. And in that same vein, what is the quote that's like, if you live by their praises, you'll die by their if you live by their praises, you'll die by their critiques. And that's, again, something that I'm constantly reminding myself of. Like, at the end of the day, really the only thing that matters is what I think of myself and me working on myself. Now, with that being said, by no means do I think I'm a perfect angel at all, but I do know myself, and I'm not, you know, what some person might say who, you know, if someone has like something negative to say about you and like doesn't even know you, or they're just projecting, or they're just angry, or maybe you're just not their kind of person, or whatever it is, you are not what they say about you. You know what I mean? And I think at the end of the day, like, I just really want to narrow in, and I've been doing that a lot, and just like narrowing in on friendships, relationships, people that I value their opinions, people that I'm like having like speak more into my life, things like that. I just am trying to be a little bit more intentional with that. And again, it is not my job to make other people understand me. Like, it's just not my job. It's really not my job. And that applies to anything. That can be friendships, that can be like what you're doing with your life, that can be, you know, certain intentions, as long as your intentions are actually good. Like, it can go anywhere, all right? So say it with people. It is not my job to make other people understand me. Okay. I think along the lines of grief is very interesting because it really does make you feel like you are living two lives, like, completely. There's one, at least for me, speaking from my personal experience, like, there's like one side and one part of me that is just like trying to survive day to day and is out, and probably to other people who don't know me very well maybe think that like things are back to normal in quotes, or like I'm okay, or things seem to be getting better, or whatever. And I'm like out, you know, working. I'm on camera for a lot of my job. I don't really like go do a lot of stuff, but I just mean like simple day to day, the bare minimum. Like, I am doing the bare minimum of my life. In work, I'm working hard, but as far as people that I'm spending time with, I can only be around like certain people. Even when I'm out, like even like Stagecoach, like I went to Stagecoach because those were a group of girls that I'm very comfortable with and I love and I felt safe with. I can only put myself in like situations where I feel safe. I can't, basically I'm maxed out at my capacity emotionally. Like, I cannot handle or take on things that I don't absolutely need to handle and take on, if that makes any sense. I don't know. It's not like when you're grieving, I'm sure a lot of people who have unfortunately gone through grief can understand this. It's not that you're being fake and inauthentic. It's that you're just doing your best to survive. Like, I'm not, if people were to like ask me that I'm close with, like, I'm not acting like my life is great or anything. It's just at the end of the day, like, unfortunately, you have to survive. Like, you have no choice other than to survive. So like, there's one aspect of you, one side of you that to the naked eye, or to like other people that don't know you well, might think that like everything's fine or you're good or whatever. And also, you don't want to be the person that's just like walking around crying all the time. And like, I'm not gonna like trauma dump on every single person that I know. And also, it's not their business. Like, it's not like, I don't need to share what I'm going through with every single person that I know. I don't need to share every single day online like what I'm going through. Like, that's not, I think I like doing it from time to time because I do think it is helpful, but I don't owe anyone that, you know? So it's like, I still have to be surviving, unfortunately, but it's not because I like feel great. And then on the other side, it's like when you are, and I hate to say it, like when you are grieving, because like, let me make it clear, like, you are grieving all the time. Grieving just looks different. We as a society do a horrible time dealing with grief. People don't understand it and they don't get it, especially if you've not gone through it. Just because someone is out doing things does not mean that they are not grieving, right? Grief does not always look like sobbing in your bed at home for a month and staring at a wall, even though I have done that. Like, grief doesn't always look the way that people think it should who haven't experienced it, or the way that you see in a movie. It does look like that, but grief also looks like going on a walk, living your life day to day, doing things. Unfortunately, I'll be grieving for the rest of my life. Like, this isn't something that just goes away ever. Like, grief is basically like kind of a replacement for love, if that makes any sense. So like, you'll have it forever. Like, you're grieving because you once had that space of love, you know? So anyways, the other side though is when you're alone and you have your breakdowns and you're so miserable, and you know, it's just, it does feel like you're living a double life. And I have really had to like grapple with that, because I don't like the idea of feeling like I'm not being like fully 1000% authentic. But I've had to learn through this journey that like, I'm just trying to survive. Like, I'm not being fake. This is still like me. I'm still living my life, but I'm not obviously in like the best place. I'm not like happy, but I'm not incapable of like living my day-to-day life. And how I deal and how I process grief is really also no one's business. But I don't owe anyone to like be on the internet every single day like crying to a camera, nor do I think anyone wants that. You know what I mean? So anyways, I just feel like there is so much I could say on grief. And I'm sure one day I'll definitely be talking about it. I think grief is a topic that needs to be talked about so much more and needs to be more normalized, because unfortunately there's really not one person in this world who gets out without grief for the most part. So I do think it's an important thing to talk about and very helpful. And for whatever reason, it's a very taboo subject. It's also very draining. Like, again, when I say I'm so exhausted all the time, I exhausted is not even the word. It's just, again, unless you have gone through it, you can't understand it. And I think that's why people have a really hard time, like, and they'll think, like, when people are like, oh, you seem to be doing so much better, like, that actually, like, makes me really angry, because it's like, I'm obviously not doing better. Like, my brother passed away 4 months ago. Like, I'm obviously not doing any better. Like, what? And just because you're out. But I understand, like, when you haven't gone through it, and I get it. Like, at the same time, like, why would you know that? You know what I mean? So, anyways, yeah, I'm just very fragile, and I'm maxed beyond emotionally, like maxed out times a million. So it's like, I can't handle things that I don't absolutely need to handle. So I've made like my circles very small. My life right now is very small. Who I'm around is very small. And yeah, I'm just very protective of myself right now. Also, loss just makes you realize that like so many things don't matter. So like, a lot of people when they're grieving will talk about how it's just really hard to even have like normal conversations with people, because you're like, I can't believe like this is so stupid. Like, I'll be talking to people and like, it sounds horrible, but it's like, I just can't believe that like you're complaining about this, or this is what we're talking about, or like it's so stupid, because all of life feels stupid. Like, everything feels meaningless. Everything feels like a waste of energy, a waste of time. It doesn't matter, especially like drama or arguments, or like things where there's like emotions to be charged. Like, it's hard to care about anything, because it just, in the grand scheme of things, when you're going through such great loss, doesn't matter, like literally at all. So there's good and bad with that, right? Because like, obviously, when like close friends of mine that are actually close friends of mine that I love and are in my like I care, it's not that I don't care about their problems. I don't want to, like, I do deeply care about them. And at the same time, it actually is kind of helpful to like hear like normal day-to-day issues that like kind of, I don't know, it's like a distraction, and it makes you feel a little bit more normal, I think. And I do care about them and like being there for them. Obviously, I'm not saying that, but it's hard to relate and connect, especially to people that are not in like your circle. It makes you have a completely different perspective on literally everything in life. And I think there's a good aspect from that change of perspective, because I'm not caught up on things that don't really matter. And it's definitely like shown me in life what I care about and what matters to me, and the things that I should be focusing on. But on the other hand, it's like everything does feel like so stupid and meaningless, and it's like, I just don't care. Like, when it's like the dumbest stuff, and I'm like, I just don't care. It's, you know what I mean? I don't know. Again, I care about my friends, but like a lot of just random conversation, like when you go through any sort of tragedy after, I'm sure like all of us can relate to it. You're like, I cannot believe that was something we ever cared about. I also really, really am fighting to change my perspective from like, what if I'm never happy again and life always sucks, just because I've dealt with 3 losses in my 20s of close family members that were under the age of 24 outside of my immediate family. And then obviously the biggest loss of my life could possibly, like my brother, like there's literally, I can't even get into it. Okay, I'm not gonna cry. But now it's really easy for me to think like, okay, well, like the worst things keep happening to me. And I'm so grateful for my life. Like, I don't want this to come off as me not being grateful for my life. I have a dream career that I worked very hard to build. Like, I love my friends, I love my life. But like, when you go through such great losses, it's just like, yeah, I love my house, but like, my house isn't like that's not like the most meaningful thing to me in the world. Like, I love the things that I've been able to build and do, and I feel really greatly lucky in those ways. But when you've gone through such tragedy and loss, it's really hard. Like, I'm just like, all right, well, everything bad always happens to me. Like, I have so many friends who have not even lost a grandparent. Like, so many friends who have not even lost anyone in their life. I have so many friends who have not even lost anyone in their life, which is like normal, I feel like, when you're my age. So it's very difficult for me to think like, oh, good things will happen to me. So I'm trying very hard to shift my perspective from like, what if I'm never happy again and nothing good ever happens to me again, to like, what if the future is so much better than I could have ever possibly dreamed and hoped for. And that is how I'm fighting so hard to have that perspective. But like I said, I don't even have the energy for like anything right now. So it's like I don't have the energy to like shift that perspective, but I am trying to like change my mindset and to like get back in. But I am really trying to change and shift my mindset to that. I feel like that's been honestly a hard shift for me, even with the first two losses. So now it's like, oh my God, like at what point, you know? And I'm really not the most like pessimistic person, the most negative person, really, by any means. It's more so of like a belief that I have about myself now because this stuff keeps happening to me, if that makes any sense. But I know that ended up being a lot of like grief talk, but again, like that is a lot of what I'm going through right now. But again, lessons from my mid to potentially late 20s. You cannot be everything for everyone. What was the other one? I'm just kidding. It is not your job to make other people understand you. Oh, and another thing I wanted to say is it is very brave of me, and this isn't me trying to be like self-obsessed. This is me trying to remind myself as I'm doing this. It's very brave of me to talk about grief and loss at all. Like, it is the hardest thing in life the hardest thing in life you can go through. Losing a child obviously being the absolute worst, but like just losing people in grief and death in your life, I feel like there really isn't anything harder. There's not really anything more permanent. It's one of the hardest things in life that you can go through. So for me to be sharing that at all in any capacity is a very brave thing to do. And I say that because obviously there's been like thousands and thousands and thousands of comments and messages that I get from people being like, thank you so much. I've gone through something similar. This was very helpful to hear someone talk about something like this. And I think that's because most people don't talk about it. Like, I'm doing it because I wish there was someone who had gone through like sibling loss around my age that I could listen to and hear and like see more so as like, oh wow, like they survived this. Like, they're still doing something. Like, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Not that grief ever goes away, but like time changes and your relationship with grief will change as time goes on, right? It is very brave, but there are obviously the comments. And again, I've posted like really not even that much about grief. I post like 10 TikToks a day, but there'll be like, I'm not kidding guys, there's someone, and I actually think it's someone that I know, that will comment on everything I comment or I post about grief, which has been one YouTube video, one podcast, and maybe 3 TikToks total, right? When I post a billion things a day. And even if it was the only thing I was posting, whatever. Understandable at this point, right? But they'll comment womp womp, I'm not kidding, and then I will block them, and there's a new account that's saying womp womp, and then stuff I'm like, oh, this is the first video I've seen of yours that didn't start off like my brother died. And like, you have to be such a sick, twisted, disgusting human being to think that, to say that, to see that. Like, I don't know, it's just like, it's a very brave thing to do, to go on and be open and vulnerable, even just in your everyday when you're talking to people. And I'm proud of myself. And these comments, these people are disgusting. So anyways, I just wanted to say that I am proud of myself for that. And I think it's important to be able to be proud of yourself and to not just listen, because I would be lying. Like, I have definitely not shared a lot of other things because I'm thinking of people in my life, of what they would say, and like that I'm not even friends with them anymore. Like, I literally don't even speak to them, but I'm holding myself back, and then those comments really do get to me. And then even if I'm like, no, they suck and they're disgusting, it's like, well, I'm not posting things that like I would like to post and talk about because they're commenting womp womp and like saying crazy things, which is so stupid. And I've been on the internet for so long. This is just like the most vulnerable part of my life. So I understand that they're wrong and I should just do it. And that there's something I know, but yeah, I don't know. It's very brave of me and I'm very proud to have done, anything at all. It's horrible, but like, guys, these people are literally like sick. So anyways, officially changing the subject to move on to bigger and brighter things. All right. Not bigger, sorry. To move on to brighter and lighter things. Last thing I wanted to leave you guys with is that I have entered my running journey. Okay. I've kept this one private, more private than I have in the past because the other times I have been running and I just stopped. All right, I was doing the Couch to 5K app, which is a great running plan, but I think I just got bored with it. Nike Run Club, that is what you got to be doing with Coach Bennett. Coach Bennett is my hero. I love that man. It has really helped me, and it's helped me a ton in grief. My therapist is the one actually told me that it's something that could be really good for me. My brother always ran, so not me crying, but I really do want to be the person who can just like go out and run 5 miles. Also, it's nice with travel. You can just get up and do your workout. It's a nice release. I've really been liking it, and I've run longer and faster, well, at least longer than I ever have, and I'm very proud. So I am entering my running journey. I am welcoming all tips, all tricks, all wrecks. I'm a runner, and I'm running a 5K in Dallas. I'm running the like Mambo 5K. It's my first 5K. And to a lot of you guys who are runners or just normal people, some people can just get up and run 5 miles. Or no, sorry, what? Some people can just get up and run 3 miles, no problem. Like, that is not me. I'm athletic. I've always worked out. I'm very active. I'm not a natural born runner. Like, I'm not the girl who can just get out and run 3 miles. Like, that is not me. So anyways, I am running a 5K. I'm very excited about it because at the finish line on that race, there'll be a Mambo taxi waiting for me, which is a really good drink in Dallas. If you guys haven't had it, you need to get it at Mi Casina. Anyways, I'm a runner now, so I'm happy. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this nice little solo catch-up episode. Everything from, grief to the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders to running to the Kelsey brothers to Kristen Cavallari. We've been everywhere today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.